Yeah, today was actually a great day to go over to the Woody Hayes Center and touch base with Coach Day. We had not had an interview with him since the spring game, and there were a lot of good headlines that came out of that. I can scroll through some of those. Plus, we got all four of the coordinators, which would be Jeff Hafley and Greg Madison on defense, and Mike Yursich and Kevin Wilson on the offensive side. And they all had a lot to talk about as well. One of the impetuses for this, and Claire and I were talking about it off camera a moment ago, was that Coach Day and his wife announced that they had started an initiative with Nationwide Children's Hospital to raise money to support treatment of for mental health for children, basically children who may need some type of mental health treatment, and that this was something very near and dear to the coach's heart. So as the release that came out said, Coach Day openly discussed the fact that his father committed suicide when he was a child. So that is kind of a trauma that he lives with, and kind of led him today, he and his wife, to start this initiative, which that began his remarks, and there was a lot of coverage about that. I'm sure will be discussed on the 11 p.m. news here in Columbus tonight. So that was something that kind of transcends the game of football and important to the head coach, and certainly was interesting. A lot of talk in terms of football. It was kind of a juxtaposition. As soon as he finished his comments about that, the questions about football kind of came right in left and right, although there was more discussion about that as well as his 30-minute session continued. But in terms of the quarterback position, he made it pretty clear that Gunnar Hoke, the transfer from Kentucky, will be given every chance to get some reps with the first team and a chance to win the job, which was kind of interesting because everyone has assumed that Justin Fields has this job locked up. But I think Coach Day is either one of two things: trying to motivate the bonus baby Fields, who was the number 2 overall prospect last year, signing with Georgia and then transferring to Ohio State, either trying to motivate him, or he's got some serious concerns about what's happening at the quarterback position. So who knows which it is. When we talked to Mike Yursich about it, he said that they vetted Gunnar Hoke a whole lot in terms of what he did at Kentucky, and obviously liked what they saw there, and that he fits the Ohio State offense as well. Yeah. So I felt that to be kind of interesting. I guess I'll have to go through and sift through and come out with some other hot topics that occurred today, but those were some of the big things. In Ohio State, and I'll just finish on this one, continue discussing things. There's a lot of hand kvetching about the defensive recruiting. And on one hand, they just signed the top wide receiver in the country, or at least got a commitment from him, Julian Fleming from Pennsylvania, got the top kicker in the country from Cincinnati Princeton this past week as well. And yet there's a lot of unhappy people that they only have one commitment still, LeJon Cavazos on the defensive side. And Coach Day was asked about it, and he said, well, this month of June will be very important. They're having a camp tomorrow, another one on the 15th, and visits with various prospects throughout the month. And that by the end of the month of June, they're hoping that some things come into focus. So I'll stop talking now. Just kind of I got the ball rolling a little bit. But I will look for some I've got a couple of notes here. I'll look for some other key headlines that kind of came out of what was discussed today.
I'll agree with Steve, even shortly on the fact I always love conspiracy theories. So I'm not the one to poo-poo the idea that the coaches would, pit players against each other. And the only reason that I have reservations about that being the case is that Gunnar Hoke is the real deal. And we heard Mike Yursich wax poetic about him. And like you said, how well he fits into the Buckeye system. I don't know if they deserve Oscars, but it definitely seemed like they were very high on Gunnar Hoke. So competition breeds success, and we're happy to have both of them at Ohio State. But it'll definitely be interesting to see how that position battle ends up weighing out. And I hope that by defensive recruiting, when he says, the month of June is really important to us, I hope that's not the version of the checks in the mail. I really hope that they really have some really promising recruits on deck for us.